What if I told you that ancient civilizations possessed a secret method of communication that could command the universe to respond? What if your prayers and manifestations aren't working, that you're speaking the wrong language? Not English or Sanskrit, but the fundamental frequency language that reality understands. In the next 30 minutes, I will reveal the exact communication protocols that Egyptian priests, Hermetic masters, and ancient shamans used to speak directly to the universe's creative force and get immediate, tangible results. This isn't about positive thinking or wishful manifestation. This is about learning the linguistic technology that shapes reality at the quantum level, the lost art of divine communication. Humanity possessed knowledge systematically erased from our collective memory for thousands of years. Ancient civilizations didn't just believe in gods and spirits. They had developed sophisticated communication technologies for interfacing directly with the creative intelligence of the universe. The Egyptian priests didn't just perform rituals. They engaged in precise linguistic protocols that could influence weather patterns, heal diseases, and manifest physical objects. The Hermetic masters didn't just study philosophy. They practiced verbal alchemy that could transform base metals into gold and human consciousness. The Sanskrit tradition didn't just chant mantras. They used specific sound frequencies that could levitate objects and open portals to other dimensions. These weren't superstitions or primitive beliefs. These were advanced technologies based on understanding how consciousness, sound, and reality interact at the most fundamental levels. The ancients knew something that our modern world has forgotten. The universe is not a dead mechanical system. It's a living, responsive, intelligent field that can be communicated with directly. But here's what's crucial. This communication doesn't happen through ordinary language. The universe doesn't speak English, Chinese, or Arabic. It says in frequencies, intentions, and what the ancients called the language of creation itself. The 3 levels of universal language. The ancient masters understood that communication with the universe operates on 3 levels, each requiring different approaches and techniques. Level 1, the language of vibration. At the most fundamental level, the universe communicates through pure vibration. Every atom, every particle, every wave of energy vibrates at specific frequencies. When you learn to match your vocal vibrations to these cosmic frequencies, you're speaking the universe's native language. The ancient Egyptians discovered that certain vocal tones could resonate with the Earth's electromagnetic field. They built their temples with acoustic chambers designed to amplify these frequencies. When priests chanted in these chambers, they weren't just making noise. They were broadcasting on the universe's frequency bands. Level 2, the language of sacred geometry. The second level involves understanding that the universe thinks in mathematical patterns and geometric forms. Every word you speak creates geometric patterns in the quantum field. The ancients learned to structure their communications using sacred geometric principles: the golden ratio, the Fibonacci sequence, and the flower of life patterns. This is why ancient prayers and incantations follow specific rhythmic and mathematical structures. They weren't just beautiful poetry. They were geometric codes that the universe could decode and respond to. Level 3, the language of pure intention. The highest level transcends words entirely. This is the language of pure consciousness that communicates with pure consciousness. At this level, you're not speaking to the universe. You're saying as the universe, recognizing that your consciousness is a localized expression of universal consciousness. The most advanced ancient masters could communicate at this level through what appeared to be silence. They had learned to transmit pure intention directly into the quantum field without verbal or physical expression. The ancient communication protocols, Now, let's explore the specific techniques that ancient civilizations used to establish communication with universal intelligence. The Egyptian invocation method. The Egyptian priests developed a precise protocol for opening communication channels with what they called the Neteru, the cosmic intelligence that governs different aspects of reality. This wasn't worship. It was technical communication. The protocol began with what they called the opening of the mouth, a specific breathing technique that aligned the priest's vocal cords with cosmic frequencies. They would breathe through the nose for exactly 7 counts, hold for 7 counts, and then exhale through the mouth while vocalizing specific tones for 7 counts. Next came the naming, calling upon specific cosmic intelligence by their proper names. But these weren't just labels, vibrational keys that opened communication channels. Each name was a sound formula resonating with specific universal intelligence aspects. Finally, the statement of intent is when they declare their request in the present tense as if it had already been accomplished. They understood that the universe is eternal now, and all possibilities exist simultaneously. They were selecting which possibility would manifest in their timeline by speaking as if their desired outcome already existed. The Hermetic command structure. The Hermetic tradition developed what they called the art of true speaking, a method of communication that bypassed the standard cause and effect chains of physical reality and spoke directly to the causal level of existence. This method was based on understanding the 7 Hermetic principles as communication protocols. When speaking to the universe, Hermetic masters would structure their communications to align with these principles. They would begin by invoking the principle of mentalism, which acknowledges that all reality is mental and responsive to mental commands. They would state, "I speak to the universal mind, knowing that my mind and the universal mind are one." Next, they would apply the principle of vibration, modulating their voice to match the vibrational frequency of their desired outcome. They would speak with the vocal quality of abundance, rich, full, confident tones, if they wanted to manifest abundance. They would use the principle of correspondence, structuring their request to align with cosmic patterns. As above, so below wasn't just a saying. It was a communication protocol that ensured their earthly requests were aligned with cosmic law. The Sanskrit mantra technology. The Sanskrit tradition developed the most sophisticated sound-based communication system ever created. Sanskrit mantras aren't just spiritual songs, but acoustic technologies for interfacing with specific aspects of cosmic intelligence. Each Sanskrit syllable was precisely calibrated to resonate with specific energy centers in the human body and corresponding frequencies in the cosmic field. When properly vocalized, these syllables create standing wave patterns that can restructure matter at the molecular level. The ancient Vedic masters understood that sound is the fundamental creative force of the universe. They mapped out which sound combinations would produce which effects, creating a comprehensive manual for sonic manifestation. But here's the key. These mantras only work when vocalized with perfect pronunciation, proper intention, and a complete understanding of their meaning. They're not magic words you can repeat mindlessly. They're precision instruments requiring skill and knowledge. The science behind sacred communication. What the ancients understood intuitively, modern science is now proving empirically. The universe is not a collection of separate objects floating in space. It's a unified field of consciousness that responds to information and intention. Quantum physics reveals that consciousness plays a fundamental role in determining reality. The observer effect demonstrates that mere observation changes the behavior of subatomic particles. But observation isn't passive. It's an active communication between consciousness and the quantum field. You're not just making sound waves in the air when you speak with intention. You're creating information patterns in the quantum field. These patterns interact with the field's natural tendency to organize itself into coherent structures, literally programming reality to manifest experiences that match your communication. Cymatics, the study of visible sound, shows us that sound waves create geometric patterns in matter. When you speak to the universe using the ancient protocols, you create geometric information patterns that the universe can read and respond to, like a cosmic computer program. The Institute of Heart Math has proven that human emotion generates measurable electromagnetic fields that can influence other people, animals, and even electronic devices. Combining emotion with vocal communication using ancient techniques allows you to broadcast powerful electromagnetic signals that the universe's field can detect and respond to. The 4 pillars of effective universal communication. Based on studying ancient traditions worldwide, 4 essential elements must be present for effective communication with universal intelligence. Pillar 1. Vibrational alignment. Your entire being must be vibrating at the frequency of your desired outcome. This isn't just about positive thinking. It's about achieving actual energetic resonance. The ancients used specific breathing techniques, vocal exercises, and body postures to achieve this alignment. Before communicating with the universe, spend at least 5 minutes aligning your vibration. Use deep, rhythmic breathing to calm your nervous system. Feel the emotional quality of your desired outcome until you can embody that feeling completely. You begin speaking only when you're vibrating at the frequency of your desire. Pillar 2. Sacred timing. The ancients understood that the universe has natural rhythms and cycles, and communication is most effective when aligned with these cosmic patterns. They tracked lunar phases, planetary alignments, and seasonal changes to determine the optimal timing for different requests. You don't need to become an astrologer, but you should develop sensitivity to natural rhythms. The new moon is ideal for planting new intentions. The full moon amplifies manifestation power. Dawn and dusk are natural transition times when the veil between dimensions is thinnest. Pillar 3. Precise language. Every word you speak to the universe must be chosen with absolute precision. Vague requests produce vague results. Conflicted language produces conflicted outcomes. The ancients spent years learning to communicate with mathematical precision. Eliminate all uncertainty language from your universal communications. Never say, "I hope," "maybe," or "if possible." Speak only in the present tense, as if your desired outcome already exists. Use active rather than passive voice. Be specific about what you want, when, and how you'll know when it manifests. Pillar 4. Energetic authority. Perhaps most importantly, you must speak from a place of genuine authority, not ego authority, but cosmic authority. You must recognize that you're not begging the universe for favors. You're exercising your inherent power as a conscious co-creator of reality. The ancients understood that human consciousness is not separate from universal consciousness. It's a localized expression. When you speak to the universe, you're not talking to something outside yourself. You're saying the universe to itself. The ancient invocation formula. Now, let me share the formula ancient masters used for universal communication. This synthesis of Egyptian, Hermetic, and Sanskrit techniques is adapted for modern practitioners. Step 1. The preparation, 2 minutes. Begin by creating a sacred space. This doesn't require elaborate rituals. Declare your intention to communicate with universal intelligence. Face east, as this aligns you with the Earth's rotational energy. Stand with your feet shoulder-width apart, spine straight, arms at your sides. Begin the ancient breathing pattern. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale for 4 counts, and hold empty for 4 counts. Repeat this pattern 7 times while feeling your energy field expanding around you. Step 2. The invocation, 1 minute. Place your right hand on your heart and your left hand on your solar plexus. Speak these words with complete conviction. I call upon the universal intelligence that flows through all things. I recognize myself as a conscious expression of this intelligence, empowered to co-create reality through the power of my word. I speak now with the authority of the cosmos itself. Feel these words resonate through your entire being. You're not just reciting, you're establishing a communication link. Step 3. The alignment, 2 minutes. Now, align your energy with your desired outcome. Don't just think about what you want. Feel the vibrational quality of having it. If you want abundance, feel the energy of abundance flowing through your body. If you wish to love, feel your heart radiating with love. If you want to be healthy, feel vitality pulsing through every cell. Hold this feeling while continuing the rhythmic breathing. You're tuning your frequency to match the frequency of your desired reality. Step 4. The declaration, 1 minute. Now speak your intention using the ancient formula structure. By the power of universal law, I declare that your specific desire now manifests in my reality. I speak this truth, knowing that all possibilities exist simultaneously, and I now select the timeline where this is my lived experience. I am grateful for this manifestation, as it serves the highest good of all. Speak these words with absolute authority. You're not asking or hoping. You're declaring a cosmic fact. Step 5. The sealing, 1 minute. Complete the communication by sealing your declaration. Clap your hands 3 times, saying, "So it is, so it shall be, so it is done." This creates an energetic punctuation mark that signals the completion of your communication. End by expressing gratitude to universal intelligence for receiving and responding to your communication. Advanced techniques for master communicators. Once you've mastered the basic formula, there are advanced techniques that can dramatically amplify your communication effectiveness. The harmonic multiplication method. This technique involves speaking your declaration at multiple harmonic frequencies simultaneously. Begin with your normal voice, then repeat the exact words in a higher and lower pitch. This creates a harmonic resonance that penetrates multiple dimensions of reality simultaneously. The ancients discovered that reality exists in layers, like frequencies on a radio dial. By broadcasting on multiple frequencies at once, you ensure your message reaches all levels of existence. The geometric visualization technique. While speaking your declaration, visualize your words creating geometric patterns in the space around you. See each word as a point of light, and watch as these points connect to form sacred geometric shapes. Triangles, hexagrams, flower of life patterns. This technique works because the universe thinks in geometric patterns. By consciously creating these patterns while speaking, you're formatting your communication in the universe's native language. The quantum entanglement method. This advanced technique establishes quantum entanglement between your consciousness and your desired outcome. Begin by visualizing your desired reality as a specific location in space-time. Imagine sending a part of your consciousness to that location, creating an instantaneous connection. Once this connection is established, simultaneously speak your declaration from both locations, from your current and desired reality. This creates a quantum bridge that accelerates manifestation. Common mistakes that block universal communication. Even when people understand these techniques intellectually, they often make crucial mistakes that prevent effective communication. Mistake 1. Speaking from need rather than authority. The biggest mistake is approaching the universe from a place of lack and desperation. When you speak from need, you're broadcasting the frequency of not having precisely what the universe will reflect. The ancients always spoke from a place of cosmic authority, recognizing their inherent power as conscious creators. Practice saying your declarations like a cosmic emperor, issuing commands to your universe. Mistake 2. Mixing doubt with declaration. Many people sabotage their communications by immediately following their declarations with doubt. They'll make a powerful statement to the universe, then immediately think, "But what if it doesn't work?" The universe responds to your total communication, not just your words. If you're broadcasting doubt on the emotional level while speaking with confidence on the verbal level, you're sending mixed signals that cancel each other out. Mistake 3. Forgetting the gratitude protocol. The ancients always ended their communications with gratitude, but not gratitude for receiving something in the future. Gratitude for what had already been accomplished in the quantum field. This gratitude acts as a confirmation signal that locks in your manifestation. Mistake 4. Inconsistent practice. Universal communication is like learning a language. It requires consistent practice to develop fluency. Many try the techniques once or twice, don't see immediate results, and give up. The ancients practiced these techniques daily for years before achieving mastery. The universal response system. Understanding how the universe responds to your communications is crucial for maintaining faith and recognizing when your messages are being received. The universe rarely responds with dramatic, Hollywood-style manifestations. Instead, it typically responds through what appear to be natural synchronicities, opportunities, and gradual shifts in circumstances. Level 1 responses, synchronicities. The first sign that your communication has been received is an increase in meaningful coincidences. You might start seeing repeated number patterns, encounter people who can help with your goal, or stumble across information relevant to your desire. These aren't random coincidences. They're the universe's way of confirming that your message was received and that reality is beginning to reorganize itself around your declaration. Level 2 responses, opportunity streams. As your communication gains momentum in the quantum field, you'll start noticing opportunities flowing toward you. Doors that were previously closed will begin opening. People will start offering help without being asked. Resources will appear from unexpected sources. This is the universe's way of creating pathways for your manifestation to occur through natural means. Level 3 responses, reality shifts. The most advanced level of universal response involves direct reality shifts, where your desired outcome appears in your experience without any obvious causal chain. This is what the ancients called miraculous manifestation. These responses typically occur only after completely mastering the communication protocols and having absolute faith. Protecting your communications. The ancient masters understood that not all communications with the universe occur in a vacuum. Interfering forces, both human and non-human, can disrupt or hijack your manifestation energy. Energetic interference. Other people's thoughts, emotions, and intentions can interfere with your communications, especially if they're unconsciously opposed to your success. The ancients developed specific protection protocols to shield their manifestation work. Before beginning any universal communication, visualize a sphere of golden light surrounding you. Declare that this sphere allows only positive, supportive energies to reach you while deflecting all interference. Psychic interference. Some individuals, consciously or unconsciously, project negative energy toward others' success. The ancients called this the evil eye, and developed sophisticated protection methods. If you suspect psychic interference, add this protection statement to your communication protocol. I declare that my manifestation is protected by universal law. All interference is neutralized and transformed into supportive energy. Dimensional interference. Advanced practitioners understand that reality exists in multiple dimensions, and sometimes entities from other dimensions can interfere with manifestation work. While this sounds exotic, it's a real phenomenon that the ancients took seriously. For dimensional protection, invoke the highest spiritual authorities you recognize: angels, ascended masters, or cosmic intelligence. Ask for their protection and guidance in your manifestation work. The ethics of universal communication. With great power comes great responsibility. The ancients understood that the ability to communicate directly with universal intelligence carries serious ethical obligations. The law of harmlessness. Never use universal communication to harm others or interfere with their free will. The universe operates on the principle of cosmic justice, and any harmful intentions will eventually return to you magnified. Always include the phrase, "for the highest good of all," in your declarations to ensure your manifestations align with cosmic law. The law of service. The most powerful manifestations occur when your desires align with service to others. The ancients understood that individual consciousness is most potent when aligned with collective benefit. Consider how your manifestations can serve not just yourself, but your community, humanity, and the planet as a whole. The law of gratitude. Always acknowledge the source of your manifestations. The ancients understood that gratitude keeps the communication channels open and ensures continued cooperation from universal intelligence. Develop a daily practice of thanking the universe for all manifestations, large and small. Your communication practice begins now. The techniques you've learned today aren't just theoretical knowledge. They're practical tools that work when applied consistently and correctly. The ancient masters didn't develop these methods through speculation. They discovered them through thousands of years of experimentation and refinement. Your journey as a universal communicator begins with your conversation with the cosmos. Remember, you're not learning to speak to something outside yourself. You're learning to talk as the universe to itself, recognizing your true nature as a conscious co-creator of reality. Start with small, simple communications to build your confidence and skill. Practice the basic formula daily until it becomes as natural as breathing. Pay attention to the universe's responses and gradually work up to more complex and ambitious manifestations. Most importantly, remember you already possess everything you need to communicate effectively with universal intelligence. These techniques are simply ways of recognizing and activating your cosmic birthright abilities. The universe is waiting to hear from you, not as a supplicant begging for favors, but as a conscious co-creator ready to participate in the ongoing creation of reality itself. If this exploration of ancient universal communication has awakened something within you, if you're feeling that spark of recognition about your cosmic authority, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. This channel is dedicated to recovering the lost wisdom of our ancestors and applying it to transform our modern world. Like this video, if it's given tools, you can use them immediately to establish direct communication with universal intelligence. And in the comments below, share your experience. Have you ever felt like the universe was responding to your words? What questions do you have about developing these ancient communication skills? What results do you notice when you practice these techniques? Next time, We're diving deep into the advanced protection techniques that ancient masters used to shield their manifestation work from interference. You won't want to miss the secret language of energy exchange, hidden knowledge that changes everything. Remember, you are not a powerless human hoping for cosmic favors. You are a conscious expression of universal intelligence, with the inherent authority to co-create reality through the power of your word. The ancients knew this truth, and now you do too. The universe is listening. The question is, what will you say? Until next time, speak with authority, communicate with precision, and remember, you are far more powerful than you've been taught to believe. Looking good. There are no more suggestions.